we're going to talk about, OG got a bunch of questions about producers and the difference in times. I want to address the value in the music, the art itself. Now people, you can listen to 100 million CDs and albums for just paying $10.99 or $9.99 once versus somebody actually going out there and buying a CD, right? And so that's kind of lowering the value of the artist and his music itself. And so we want to talk about that, how you've seen it from, working at Sony, your pop, all that good stuff. Right. And then we want to really bring those Liberty Point conversations we used to have about hip hop here. Like to start, I'm going to definitely break down, how we linked at Liberty Point and all that. And then we'll go from there. Definitely make sure you give it the heavy New York vibe. Because we're going to argue it down.
All right. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna argue it down heavy.
King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. Ball is life, and that's a fact. And a baller's life, about that exact. King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. There's a time to score and a time to assist. Ain't no I in team, let the winning commence. From generation to generation, game don't stop. The new and old school got the game on lock. It's all legendary, it's all necessary. We all been all-stars before February. And after that, King and Yates.
Man, BTG Nation, what's up? We back at it. I don't even know what number this is because we don't have nobody back there showing love. What number is this? I think this is 19. Yeah, there we go. The cameraman back there, production.
You're too hard to work with, man.
Is me?
Yeah, they keep quitting.
Is it me? I just, I'm like you. I demand excellence. You know what I'm saying? Consistency, some discipline. I'm going to point out all the little things. People can't rock. They got to go.
Hey. It's funny to hear you say that, but then when I say something, you always gotta combat it.
Man, that's not true, man. You just a little sensitive, I don't know.
Yeah.
You turn into this new generation and started to affect you differently.
No. I just say what a lot of older guys don't say. I'm gonna say what's on my heart.
You say everything that people don't say. That's respect, though. Look, you just don't care. You know what I'm saying? You haven't even gotten to the old senile age to where you're just like, man, I done lived too long for you to do anything to me. You're still young, young and vibrant.
I don't know about that. I'm worn out right now, man, from camp.
Yeah. Camp is over. Spring break camp is over, and we are heading to. Probably when this drop, we'll be just after a little week vacation. Yeah. Vacation. It's all love, though.
2 hours a day?
Right,
where you can do whatever you want, and you'll probably end up taking a nap.
Oh, man. I need to make sure. Let me break this down now. First of all, for first-time listeners, it's my OG, Julian King. I'm Ryan Yates. We are here in Dubai by way of America, VA, Baltimore, DMV, all those things. We are running our own basketball brand called Hoop Mountain Dubai, hoopmountain.ae online, Hoop Mountain DXB on Instagram, TikTok, and all those good things. So when you hear us referencing basketball talk and everything, we're trying to grow a culture here. And so we're doing this podcast to educate, and because we got to drop some gems sometimes, right? I'm talking with somebody that was my former coach, and now we're business partners. There's a lot of game and a lot of experience that we want to share to people. And then we're on the other side of the world. And so, that's a whole different experience. But I gotta mention this. In April, we'll only drop 2 episodes. That's right. Only 2 episodes, 2 less than our normal 4. As you guys know, some of you know, Ramadan is approaching in April. And that's going to be my first Ramadan. So I'm not sure, exactly. And that's our first Ramadan in Dubai without COVID being here. So we don't really know how the area is going to operate. It's much different being here than being in America during Ramadan. Like, everything changes for us. So the camera team, everybody, I'm not sure how the schedule is going to be. So I want to be respectful to that. And I don't know what my energy is going to be. I have no idea how my body's going to react, how mentally I'm going to be. So we're going to test that out, and I want to cut back on some things. So we'll only do 2 episodes, and this being one of the 2.
A little soft.
I don't know. Call it what you want, man. I'm putting my priorities in order.
I know. I'm just saying, but
yeah.
a little soft. You should be able to do everything.
We should, but again, it takes a team. So I don't know if when we record is late at night, and so typically that's when everybody be praying with their family and eating. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want them to have to like break out of that for my little podcast, my little dream.
Or they could just listen to it the next day or watch it the next day like we do the games.
No, I'm talking about the people that help us record and put it out.
Where are they at right now?
I'm talking about the ones here.
Oh, okay. Our only person, Abdullah has like 10 jobs back there.
Yeah, and shout out to Abdullah because he's going to have to leave early to go pick his wife up from the airport, and he can't be late for that. I understand. Right. I understand.
There could be problems if he's late.
Big time. But we're following up a big episode where we had some legends. And that energy was amazing. I mean, I'm still, my mom called me today, was like, yo, I'm on a train with my mask on, spitting through the mask, laughing, and everybody looking at me crazy. That felt good for me, and I haven't even been in the room with those guys. How did it feel for you?
Man, it was great. You know, even after the episode, we all talked that night, and everybody said the same thing, man. We miss each other. We wish we could get together and break bread a little bit more, and you know, it just brought back so many good memories, man. So many good memories.
That's what's dope too. Like the one thing about us being out here in Dubai is that we are that bridge for everybody that's like probably wanted to go but didn't. Like, man, that thing's far. I don't know what to do. And now with your guys, we're doing basketball stuff. So not only do they get to just kick it and enjoy what Dubai got, but then they get to see, you know, the game we all love and like what it's like and the inside stuff.
Right.
Like that's dope. That's dope. But one thing that's interesting, I didn't get a chance to share this. Excuse me. Oh, man. Alhamdulillah. But I didn't get a chance to share this with you. We had some new listeners coming aboard.
Okay.
People that aren't sports fans, right? But they're still finding gems in a lot of the stuff that we're saying. And you know me, I'm always trying to think of creative ways for us to grow the game, us to make some paper, and ways to keep this podcast going so it doesn't look saturated. And so somebody was telling me, it was like, look, one, they asked to get on the show, and I was like, we got to have personal relationships with people that get on the show.
For sure.
Right? Just so we can vet people. But he was saying, I'm not a huge sports person, but the perspective you guys have on life is really, really dope, and we would like to hear more of it. And so that got me thinking, it was like, that is something that we should jump more into. We do our basketball segment, we jump into that, but we find all the time that people just lost in general. You know, we get basketball debates kind of let us know what somebody's head is, but typically, you know, with you being an old head and you experiencing so much more than I have or a lot of other people, you got a lot of lessons to pass. And so we're going to get more in depth with a lot of those life lessons and perspective things. So we might start asking people what they want to hear us talk about or what their struggles with and how we could address it.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah, so we can get into that. But for today, we're taking the energy to another level again. You guys know we love our music as well. We always talk about our culture. And our culture is hip-hop. Our culture is entertainment. Our culture is food. Our culture is basketball, everything. And it all plays together, right? It's like one big jambalaya. And as a hooper, you know, you had a mega box, boom box, right?
The Sonic.
Yeah, because you got to have your tune.
Just so everybody knows, it's the same one. Man, it's funny that Will Smith had on the intro to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when they're in the playground in Philly. I had the same one, 12 size D batteries.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
You know who carry one around right now?
Who?
Joel Embiid.
What?
And he make his rookie carry it around and put it. I think it only got like 10 D joints though. But that's dope. But today we're following up our Willie Ways hip hop episode with my dog. You know, this is my guy. I've known him, I think we're going on like 6 years now. 6 years. This is, you know, we're gonna get into it, you know, but I just want to casually bring my guy Lee Bueller, aka Lee Bowen, Leon Bowen, to the table. Yo, Lee, you hear me? Yo, we here?
Yo. Peace.
Peace, God.
Yeah.
They got Mobb Deep on the phone.
Listen.
Very New Yorkish of you. Very Queens of you.
Listen,
Peace, bro.
Listen, my this is my dog, man. Like, we met. We met with 2016, Lee.
About that. Yeah. Wow, man. Still old, man. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, 2016, right? Crazy story. So, Lee, say it again.
Were you still in grad?
Yeah,
about to graduate?
I was still in. I was going into my second year of grad school.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. A lot happened.
Wow. Good times. Those are good times. And those are a lot of learning curves during those times, man. And up ahead. So it's just great to see where you are. So proud of you, man, and thank you. Just to be on your platform, to be a guest, in your living room, man. This is awesome. So I'm grateful.
That's dope.
So you say it's great to see where he is now. So you may have to tell us a little bit more about where he was. And some of the things behind the scenes that was going on back then.
This wasn't part of the docket, big dog.
Well, it could be. We like you said, everybody needs to have a background in terms of how y'all met and and things like that, and what some of the things that transpired.
Man,
that was so Irvin Magic Johnson of you to just kind of throw that bounce pass. Wow, man. Now that was all. Yeah, I'm gonna take that. I got that.
People envisioning me in little shorts now. This cat said, man, he could have gave me MJ. Or he said,
nah, MJ don't pass like Magic, though.
No. This is a very different pass. When I met Ryan, for one, it was his bravado didn't match his car. So I knew eventually that I was going to see him as something different soon. And it reminded me of myself because when I moved to Virginia, I had this like 98 Camry, but it didn't match me. And I said, wow, we're like, this guy is a lot like me, yo. This is, You
got to tell him what the whip was. I never told anybody about my first car. Look.
Yo, was it a Buick?
No,
was it a Lincoln?
It was 2001 Mercury Grand Marquis with the bucket seats. Yes. Oh my God. And it was different. It was very different. But he was such a beautiful asset to our team because, I was blessed to kind of be grandfathered into a village of elders, man, where I'm not from Virginia, I'm from Queens.
Yep.
And, being amongst, older Black folks who kind of took me in and kind of like, when I'm 25, 26, 27 with, a 2-year-old in a failed relationship and just not really knowing where I'm going in life and go, yo, listen, pour back into the people that need you the most. And that's the kids, right? So it just kind of makes you a man without you even knowing it. So it's like them, then it's me. And then all of a sudden Ryan falls into this conundrum of building blocks that we're building without us even knowing it. You know what I'm saying? And I was just grateful to kind of be there and just be a bro. And he was one to me because I felt alone. It was just me and my bro Dante. And I felt like, yo, these older guys who were in their 50s, they were from the South. So how they carried themselves, they were like, yo, you can't be that arrogant. But it wasn't arrogance. Mm-hmm. My confidence was one of, I ain't going to let them just tell me whatever they're going to tell me. Man, I'm smart.
Real New York.
I know what I want. And I'm from Queens, bro. y'all got to give it up. I'm taking everything. So that's just what it was going to be. And then being from this area either, we just clicked. Yeah. And, I just love him. I love him still as a brother. I miss him. And, man, it was just awesome. And again, we're helping kids who look like us, who come from places like us, so we're putting, my stepdad always says that I was doing God's work.
Right. Well,
and I still believe that.
Let me give the listeners a little bit of insight on what actually was going on and what our work really was. And so you guys hear me reference on here that I've had 2 failed attempts at my entrepreneurship in my journey, and one of them was it was solid. It was a great learning experience. But I was working with a former teammate of mine, a friend, and he had started a clothing line that was doing well, and I partnered with them to help it grow. And so that was while I was in grad school. And so, of course, you need money to make things happen. And so my school was giving me a little change, but that wasn't really enough for me to make things happen. So I needed another job, right? And I needed something that was kind of like going to fit the schedule of me teaching on campus, training, and going to class. And so I was calling around, and now we in the boonies, we in the Shenandoah Valley area. There's not a lot of jobs around there that you can do. You're going to have to suck it up.
No. There's not a lot of jobs that you want to do.
Facts. That's number one. Not a lot of things that you want to do. And so, I was looking around, and I phoned a friend, one of our alumni, and I seen that he was at this behavioral hospital. I talked to some people, and so this behavioral hospital was 30 minutes away from campus and where I was living. And so what it was it was supposed to be a transformative place, right? And it was young men between like 12 and 18, I would say, that were court ordered, right? They were dually diagnosed. And so they had an IQ below 75. And when we say dually diagnosed, they might have been schizophrenic and had ADHD. Or they might have had a behavior disorder, and they might have had, a bunch of other different things. And I'll take that into account with the childhood trauma that they would have outside of, just being in life and everything. So we saw, and then when I started to come, you start to get the low functioning kids. The kids that may be 6'2", 220, and at 15, but they have the mental capacity of a 2-year-old. And so those tantrums are crazy. Those things are crazy. And then, it's not a high-paying job, right? And so the locals, the Shenandoah Valley area, especially Stanton, that's like the meth capital of the world. Mm-hmm. And so the people that are there in those jobs, they aren't too far away. I remember coming one time and asking Lee, I was like, yo, do they do a mental health check on the staff before they get here? Because they didn't, like Lee said, they didn't have many men. In most professions with children, there's not enough men there, right? Let alone black men. And then I come in, I college graduated, blah, 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 blah. And I'm in grad school. And then I'm just a different space for them. So I start working the overnight shift, right? Purposely. Because I'm like, yo, they throwing feces on the wall. They trying to hit other staff members with cinder blocks. Like, it's a fight you got to break up, and you got to break them up physically. You can't use no medicine. You got to try to use de-escalation. Like, you got all these other different things that we're learning. So I'm like, look, I'm just trying to get some bread. So I'm going to go overnight. But the way you get caught in the day is you get a 12-hour shift every now and then. So I'll come in the evening after school. So I'll be there from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., right? And so then I broke up a lot of fights. A lot of times they waited until I got there to start to break up fights. So it might have been some fire going on. But where me and Lee and the other old heads, shout out to Pops and Mr. P, shout out to Dante, my dog, shout out to Ro too, where we connected was on the night shift. I didn't really talk to anybody at first, right? Because I was still locked in trying to, move. So I used to read all day on the night shift, right? That's when I was 25. I was reading Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? I was reading a lot of those things. So like he said, my car was different. The first car vibe is different, right? And so I was just filling everybody out. There's a lot of characters in there that we talked about. But with the old heads, I had some old heads that lived through the crack era when it started. Mm-hmm. So those conversations were different. The civil rights stuff and Jim Crow stuff in the South and Virginia. So those conversations were different. So when they saw me reading Malcolm, I learned how to play spades in a night shift there. I learned how to play 2-handed spades. You know what I'm saying? And so then that developed into me and Lee having our moments where we got to talk hip hop. We got to talk music. And then we got to talk radical ideas. And then all of us going there, a lot of arguments. Right, but that's on a night shift. You know what I'm saying? That's going like 10 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., like however it was going to do. And so you could only imagine how quick our bond formed there. And breaking up fights. Like it was a lot of times other staff members were getting hit upside the head with their own walkie-talkie. And we had to come in there and just like show our face. And so the kids would calm down. And these are kids that, you know, nobody gives them a chance to just be normal. You know, they're really just papers. And like they don't have a name. They're just a description of whatever their disease may be or whatever. And so we used to approach them like, nah, you got a chance to do something. You're not just a number in a book. So that's what we clicked at. You know, and I didn't expect that.
Listen, if those walls could talk, you know, just briefly, you know, at 3 a.m., you know, if you have those three generations, right? You have one guy who's about 55 years old, and he's born and raised in this town, and he's worked all his life, went to high school in this town, and you know, high school educated, and that's it.
Hold on, Lee. Let me add in Pop, because basketball reference, right? Pop played in the era of Ralph Sampson. He played with Ralph Sampson. Okay. He played with Del. He's older than Del Curry. He used to Del Curry's from his neighborhood. Del Curry used to look up to him. He used to work out with Steph before he went to Davidson. Okay. And Pop was a baller himself, like legendary. Like one of his older teammates was going to get drafted out of Florida State, but he was almost like a kingpin out of that area. And so he didn't go. But like that's that. And imagine finding that in Stanton, right? On top of that OG that we're talking about was 55. So and Pop was 60. I'll let you.
Yeah, he's 60. Yeah. You know, so you have all of these different, you know, some melting pot, man. And so, you know, great time, man. It was a great time. But, you know, we moved on. And I think, you know, there was always something in myself with music, you know, that was always there, even at Liberty Point, where I was always doing something artistically. And, you know, when you start having a family, you know, I wouldn't say, you know, people get stuck, but I do think that, you know, however you can provide during that time, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't have a problem with I love my job at Liberty Point. I really did. You know, I think what I was able to give and what I got in return, substance-wise, you know, what I was able to develop internally as a person. No, I'm very grateful.
We got to keep it a buck though, because King, I remember after we started to get together and we started talking music, right? And I started listening to him talk, and I started listening to his experience, and I was like, "Yo, how the hell did you end up in Stanton, Virginia, at this small ass, like, you know, basically a prison? I don't even want to. They call it a school or behavior. That shit's a prison. They had no windows." It was all cement, you know what I'm saying? You had to buzz in and out, like that shit was locked in. So I was like, how the hell did you, and I want you to get a background on, because I want everybody to have the reaction I had when we started talking about where you came from artistically, your family, and like what you did before you came to Liberty Point and at a young age.
Yeah, I can share. I don't mind sharing everything, man. Because it's an interesting story. But I don't really, you know, I mean, I think we all have our stories, right? Yeah. You know, that's why I was in Dubai, right? You know, so that is a beautiful thing. I was born in Far Rockaway, Queens. I don't know if a lot of people know where that's at. It's kind of like right there on the peninsula. It's considered like one of the grimiest places, but it's really a beautiful place, man. It's right there on the beach.
They got beaches in New York?
You know what I'm saying? And absolutely, yo, relax, man. Come on. Come on.
My bad.
Don't do that, yo. Nice jet. Don't do that, man. Come on. So, yeah, look, we right there on the beach, right? You know, it's a beautiful place. A lot of my family's from there, you know what I'm saying? My dad, my mom. It's funny. I just went back about 2 weeks ago, man, for a funeral.
Sorry.
And like Rockaway is still like fresh on my brain. You know what I'm saying? It's where I'm from, but it's still like, you know, I don't go back often because I'm here in VA and I'm working and I got my kids and my wife and my businesses and I got things that I got to do. But I was just back and I'm riding, just through the area and, homesick ain't the word.
I'm about to say, don't start crying on here, man. I'll change my mind and put the video up. Yeah, no.
But I do miss home, man. It's I grew up, like a lot of kids in the 90s during the crack epidemic. You know what I'm saying? Especially in New York City, and I think when you're in it, you don't recognize it until after. I don't think it was until like the late 2000s to when you see documentaries, when you go, damn, this shit was crazy like that. Like, wow. Like, because when you in it, man, like, you see the crack houses, you see the people, but there's so much beauty, man, also. I remember art expos. I remember, beauty shops. I remember, park jams. I remember, basketball Sunday mornings, guys is up and down the park, killing it. You know what I'm saying? Like kids playing, cookouts in the park, block parties. I remember all of that too. Mm-hmm. Talent shows. Like I remember all of these community events as well. So, I think we somehow always heighten the ugliness of, these things, man. But there's so much beauty in it, man. So I was fortunate enough, though, to be in a family. I feel, like you guys are very sports oriented. And I'm sure OG, Slim, somewhere along the line, you have family members who played the sports that you love, right? Someone had to pick up a basketball and put it in your hand. Right. Had to, right? Right. Absolutely. Yep. Same way for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my dad ran a record label. My uncle was a DJ for Father MC. For anyone that doesn't know, like, who those names are.
I definitely know who MC is.
Yeah, for sure.
That is. So, like, I remember watching my Uncle Dre at 3 years old on Soul Train. We all sitting in the living room. And, I'm being introduced. And, I remember all of these things. My first concert, I was 7 years old at Beach Channel High School. Shout out to Beach Channel. And, Keith Murray performed the most beautifulest thing in the world. Yes, kids, that is the song title. Yeah. And it's also an actual thing. It was the most beautifulest thing in the world. I didn't know the word beautifulest was a word until Keith Murray taught me that. And I sat in the front. You know what I'm saying? And I remember that. Like, that was a timestamp impression on me. Right. So it was life-changing. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I know that somewhere in my life, there was always a song that countered some kind of event. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember when my parents were separated when I was 4, my dad, he would always play Main Source Looking Out the Front Door. Anyway, if anyone knows that record, I'm saying, OG, you know that song, right? Yeah. And it's like the ultimate breakup record. It really is. Like, and he would play it on repeat. And I just tell him that today. I'm like, yo, Pop, like, you really nonstop would drill that record. Like, it was almost, how you would play that song. But then I fast forward to like 8 years old. And I remember, like, Mom Duke, Saturday morning, Bayswater Park, I could smell the water from the bay, right? And she's playing My Life by Mary. And, that doom, 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 doom. But she's cleaning. Like, you dude, like, because, again, it's our pain matched with our beauty all wrapped into one. And that's what music always was for me, right? It's just those things. It doesn't stop.
So you dropped a gem on us, right? You talked about, where your father was the DJ for Father MC.
No, my uncle.
Your
my
uncle. The uncle was the DJ for
Yeah.
Father MC, and you saw him on Soul Chain as well. But not only, it doesn't just stop there, right? Like, directly in the house, your pops, like your first idol, right? Your first, recognition of a man and everything was directly into the music business as well, right?
Yeah, my dad started out doing promotions and like parties. From what I've seen firsthand, right? So I would see flyers and things like that. And, you know, back in the days, like if you had like you know, WBLS or Kiss FM, Hot 97 was kind of like on the rise. It was the dance station back then, but it was slowly kind of transitioning into a hip hop station at the time. So BLS was like one of the number one stations in the early 90s. So it was a lot of parties. But I would say when I was about 11, he like really started taking on the job as a manager. He started managing before that Brownstone. You know, they had that hit record, Say It.
Yeah, that Tory Lane sample.
Yeah, it's not Say It. It's I forgot the actual. The Tory Lane song is. But yeah, exactly. It's that. And I think they were signed to Michael Jackson's record label. And he did some other work, and then it just kind of escalated, right? So what I thought was genius of what he did, he stopped signing artists, and he started signing producers. And then he was shopping beats. So that's where, like, you know, most of his success came. So he ran a company called Newsstand Entertainment. And that's how I got into production and writing early on, because, like, you know, I would, you know, my first piece of equipment was a Zoom drum pad 123, and then the Yamaha DJX keyboard. For Christmas, I was 11. And then I got a Tascam tape recorder that summer for my birthday. So now, you know, if you're a kid, you know, you got a whole studio at that point.
Right.
You got a keyboard, you got a drum machine, and then now you got a tape recorder.
Right.
So if you're making a beat, you can record the beat. So then I started writing. And I was so shy because I had this green folder. I never would let no one hear anything. I would just keep them to myself. Right. And I had all these loose in this folder that I would just like stash. Because look, and it was so foul, like the profanity in them. Because I would like stash them under my bed. Because no, my mom would have seen this stuff, man.
Right.
It would have been insane. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I started DJing probably 2 years later, because my uncle Dre, who was the DJ, and he's back in DJing now, he had all these like records, man. So between him and my grandmother, I started becoming a crate thief. I would just take these crates back to my crib. Yo, let me get that. And back then with crates, right? Think about a playlist today, right? If you're a DJ, it's the same concept. Do. You like fill in that order. So if I'm doing a set, I gotta know I'm pulling records. You know, it ain't so much scroll and pop or no, I'm pulling and dropping them.
From out
you
the
know,
crate.
So out the crate, dude, I kept at least 6 crate minimum.
Right.
Right? Me, boy, Pat, shout out to you wherever you are, bro. But we used to pack my Mitsubishi Galant, 2 big 12 JBLs, 6 crates, and my 1200s, bro.
Right.
And I would project to project, block to block, backyard to backyard, wherever they would let me play. No money. That's what you.
First,
now, Brandon, stop me, please, because these kids, man. First off, you got to crawl before you walk. I put in so much time. My hands, calluses, dog. Like for real.
Yeah.
So much time.
OG got a question for you.
What year was this when you guys were driving around and going from place to place to set up?
So this is 2002. Because I started working at Sam Goody. Check this out.
Sam Goody. Listen, repeat that one. Look, he started working at Sam Goody.
Alhamdulillah. Sam Goody, right? And at Sam Goody, kids, I was 15. I was the lead sales associate. Excuse me. There was 30-year-old men who were working with me. I was the lead sales because I knew that replays, which were the promotional cards that went for $7.99, but if you double them for a 2-year membership that went for $14.98, if I flip those every 2 years, I'm knocking them out the park. There's no commission on these. I just got a thrill of knocking them shits out the park every time because I knew they couldn't rock with me. I'm from Queens, bro. I knew they couldn't keep up.
You see this? You see this Queen shit? You see this Queen shit?
Oh
man?
no! I'm keeping tab of how many times he says he's from Queens.
Yeah.
I do that with all my New York boys.
I love
they couldn't keep up. With hunger, there's ignorance, right? Because I think when you're too hungry, you do foolish things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you learn how to eat smart, then you learn how to plan ahead. And I think, with trial and error, I was able to go, oh, okay, let me put it in motion like this. Let me plan like this. And then, if I put put this like this, then I'll be able to get to where I got to go. So with time, things mapped itself out beautifully. And, with the Lord's blessing, I'm where I need to be and going where I got to go.
For sure. But that we're coming back to that music spot, right? Because what you said was you were learning, you were doing a lot, right?
Yeah.
You were learning, you were becoming Lee Bueller, right? Who was you as a rapper, right? That's who you were growing into. That might have been 3 or 4 stages later, but you were DJing, right? You were part of that DJing back then, and this is just, I'm not an expert, but that allows you to be a producer too, because those crates is helping you with your sample air, right? And that's one of the things that intrigued me the most when we used to talk, because I always like to listen to the old school stuff, the R&B things or whatever. But Lee was like, he's like my guy Monday night, right? Monday, whatever he hear on the radio, he remember forever, right? And then he also could recognize the samples on things. And so when I was sitting and talking with Lee, you see he dropping the brownstones and all those other things. I used to tell him, it's like, yo, like that mental Rolodex that you got there, when you dropping, like when you hear this song from the 80s and Kanye sampled that for 30 seconds on Power.
That's a talent.
That's different, right? That's different. But that's also why I used to look at him while we were at work on the night shift. It was like, yo, what the hell are you doing
here?
Right? Right. But like he said, everybody has a story.
Yep.
And as he said, he was too hungry at one point and it didn't allow him to pace himself and see what the further plan was. And so he had to be sat down in a space to where it was like, all right, now I got to reevaluate and put everything back together, right? But talk about how, because that time in New York was special, right? And it's a lot of the reason why you're feeling confident doing what you do now on your own, which we'll get into. But that marketing space. And you as an artist, because my man, he got a picture with the big button down, when Hov said we got to throw the throwbacks away, and them them khakis and those black like tennis shoe type dress shoes, casual joints y'all used to wear to the club when they said y'all couldn't wear sneakers, performing with Chrisette Michelle.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like he being humble right now, but some of those things that you experience, because the world is small in basketball, and it's the same way in music when you're really of the art, right? And so I'll go ahead and jump into that, like that you as Lee Bueller and then you as Sony.
So like I always say that, as a kid, I probably seen too much early.
Yeah. Listen, let me tell you the truth. That's all Americans. All American kids in this, period. Like we've been here in Dubai. Like we see what it looks like for a 13-year-old to really just be a 13-year-old. We all saw too damn much, right? It's good and bad though, because it allows us to have a different level of creativity too.
Well, let me make sure that's not a blanket statement, because I've been all around the world, and there's some people in other places that's seen
a lot,
triple what we've seen.
Yeah,
especially
war-ridden places.
But we are blessed with having an opportunity to see a lot of the bad, but also opportunities to see a lot of the good.
Yeah,
some people don't have a choice of seeing either.
True.
So we are blessed in that sense, and that does put us in a space where most of us, if we're hardworking, you can put us anywhere. We'll make it happen.
Facts. And you gotta have some vision in that too.
I want to put it in the context, not so much in a struggle in that regard, right?
Yeah.
I seen too much, in the music world. In the music world, I aspired at 23.
Hmm.
Okay, and I say that to say this. So I started producing by 12. I literally had made my first beats at 12. I was playing tapes for my dad, and I was shopping myself by 14.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing 15. By 18, I was the youngest I was interning for Sony BMG, and by that summer, before I turned 19, I was the youngest marketing rep for Sony BMG. Going into college. By taking that job, I worked there for 2 years, met everyone, chatted with everybody, sat in every room, involved myself in every project. And by 20, gave double middle fingers to all of it and tapped back into my craft as an artist, which in the word Lee Bueller, it's a corny name, though my first rap name was Gizmo, which I think is actually even more cornier than, but right? And I mean, Gizmo back in like 98, that was hot. Like, that was cool, right?
Yeah.
Young, that shit was fire, B. Like, come on.
Man,
so,
listen, that should still be fire now. Listen, we got a lot of wild stuff out there.
Dude,
yeah, it still be fire. But look, for perspective, tell them some of the projects that you got to work on. So because sometimes people say, I got to work with things, and I saw a lot of the industry, and then they drop like, somebody people never heard of, like, but you actually got to be hands on with some big stuff.
So the first project that I was able to work on was the Beyonce B-Day project. Like literally, I was able to, that same day we had made these flyers. The first project first day at Sony, worked on these flyers, and we had them pressed. And I'm a kid, man. I say kid in the sense of, but everyone else around you is 25 out of college and you're 18, right? So I'm literally that night at home watching 106 in Park in the crowd as my flyers. And that was like, oh, shit, fire. That's me. Like, we did that. Like
small wins.
And like, right, that was a cool moment. I remember the Scream tour, having to do press runs with Omarion all day, which was hilarious because he's everything that they say he is. He does literally dance everywhere he walks. It is the funniest shit. Like, it really is. Like, his album, I think it was 21. That's what the album was called. 21. 21 had dropped. That was fire. I worked with Collie Buzz. I worked with Ray Cash out of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with Consequence on his first album because Miss Donda West, she had an office in the Sony building on the 13th floor where Good Music originally was.
Mm-hmm.
They were on the 13th, and the group Sarah, which Virgil was actually a part of that group. Okay. Right, exactly. They were downstairs. You had to get to I want to say it was because Sony Urban was on the 25th floor and Mr. Matthew Knowles was on the 31st. Yeah, man, it was an incredible building. I worked with KP, Kwan Prather. You know what I'm saying? He was right down the hall. Gary Beach, Quincy Jackson. Now we're just slinging names.
Yeah, but that's the gist of it. So when you hear him say he aged out and he reached a point to where he was like, "Yo, I'm gassed in this industry." It wasn't somebody just watching it from the sideline. He was an artist while still working on the marketing within the industry, and then being a student of the game himself. So he qualified too for the questions we're going to ask him later when it comes to hip hop. It's another thing. Only qualified guests.
Only qualified.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, guys, I'm in school. You know what I'm saying? And I'm battling that conflict as an artist because I'm also a producer at the time. I'm also rapping, and I'm going to Five Towns College, which is the same school that Maroon 5 went to. And it's also the same school that Wyclef Jean went to, who I happen to be working with on the Carnival too, while he's at Columbia and Sony. So this weird conundrum where I'm going to Five Towns, where he used to go, and now working with him as well on the Carnival on this rollout for in marketing. New York was a special place during those times. You know what I'm saying? 40 ounce fan.
Everybody from New York say New York is a special place, though, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all all right.
No. I don't know about New York now, but I know then it was because you're talking like shout out to 40 ounce van. You know, I remember going to the first 40 ounce bounce. I remember like that energy. You know what I'm saying?
Look. OG don't know about 40 ounce. So now I gotta go show him. I gotta show him the Instagram page. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stuck for it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild, man. That kids that are listening, any of you guys who don't need to know who 40 ounce fan is. You know, not at all. But it's cultural though. It's cultural though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, Supreme, Miska, 10 Deep, you know, all of these brands started popping up, man. These street designs, you know. It really was a special time. So me as an artist, shout out to Jorge, shout out to my guys, because we made a lot of noise. And literally, as an artist, dude, within 3 projects, we're flown out to LA to meet with Universal. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because we were just chatting about this because I had left Sony as a marketing rep that April 2008. Dropped my first project as an artist, December 2008, The Yellow Book. Followed right back up in February. Then again in April, I was out. 420 week in 2009. I was about to be signed. I passed on a deal, and I never got the opportunity again. And it's funny that, you know, I say that like that, right? Because it might sound like it's remorseful or there's regret. But I say that to say, I am who I am in the regard of I'm a creator, right? Mm-hmm. I'm never to be chained. Mm-hmm. So whether it's Sony, Universal, any type of, infrastructure that doesn't give me the creative control to be who I am. Think about it. They put instruments in my hand, bro, not paper and pen, not accounting information. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, like, I'm an artist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As an athlete.
I got a question for you, right? And then I'll let OG go first.
Lee, I was going to ask you about, you say you passed on the deal and you don't want to sound regretful for it. Do you think that even though you are a creator, do you feel that you have the luxury of passing up that deal because you have other things going for you? Just say, what if you were an up and coming artist and that was all you have and that deal is presented to you? Do you think you would have taken it then?
So what I think the blessing that I did have, OG, honestly, was that a year ago, I was on the opposite side where I was helping new artists with their deals, their new deals, and putting together their marketing plans and working on rollouts. And now, as an artist, I can go, I know what you guys are going to do with me in a year. I know that $70,000 is not enough.
Right.
Right.
So
okay.
And I know that all the beats, we do all the work. You got to give me way more than that.
But you having that background and that experience, you have knowledge that a lot of people don't have when they sign their first deal. Because I just listened. Right. I just listened to some artists talk about this maybe like a couple weeks ago, and I think it was on Drink Champs. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know, you don't know. And for some people, like getting the opportunity to get signed, and even if you know you're getting screwed, it's giving you a platform to at least have an opportunity to survive, and continue on. But for those who typically may say, nah, that deal, that's crap, I ain't taking that. Well, a lot of times they have something else, that they can fall back on for the moment. And so that gives you a little more bargaining power, you know. So that's why I was wondering, because it's got to be tough, man, to get your first break and then, you know, have enough guts, you know, courage to say, nah, that ain't for me. So I respect that.
For sure. And the number one thing I was hearing too was you think about the story he told about him like having that opportunity and then being like, nah. Mm-hmm. But what comes to mind is everything he said before that moment. Mm-hmm. His uncle. Yep. Right? His dad already being there. So him probably getting little tidbits of game.
Oh, he's experiencing it as he grows.
As he grows. Yeah. And then for himself as an adult or a young adult in the mix of it and seeing all those things. So now he can weigh his pros and cons completely different. And now like for somebody that doesn't have that background that jumps into it, because I think about Young Thug, right? And Young Thug said he knew he signed a messed up deal. Yep. But he knew how to get out of it. Mm-hmm. He knew exactly what he had to do to get out of it, how many tapes he had to put out, what he was going to do, and then he had a plan ready for when he was gone and he was on his own. So now he got like 20 artists and all of them eating, right? And all of them making money. But he knew beforehand, he was like, like you said, I just got to get it because I don't have no other option. But if you do that, then you got to have the wherewithal to be like, all right, I'm going to be in here for 15 albums, right? So how do I make sure I give them all of that and still keep my creative integrity too? And that's a gangster in its own right. But like you said, there's always two sides to the story, right? And two options there. And so
for our listeners, especially, you know, everybody that's aspiring to be an artist, can you kind of just give us a breakdown of what a standard contract would be for somebody that isn't a no-brainer, and kind of talk about how it's a great moment to sign, but you're actually putting your career on the shelf for 2 years, 3 years, because I want to piggyback on the Kanye documentary,
right?
Because you know Damon Dash signed him. They ain't do nothing with him.
Right.
And so, you know, hearing from you will bring a lot of perspective to our listeners because, you know, you're in the industry.
Yeah. And especially those contracts in that time too, Lee, and how the contracts in that 90s, 2000 era are probably a whole lot different than what they are now. But if you do know what they are now in comparison as well.
So, you know, we were very much so in those same kind of situations, but it's like, here it is, you know, we have a situation where it's myself and Jorge, and I'm just going to use me and him, who he's my other producer and engineer, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to hold me and him in this regard because we are the main creators, right? Take artwork, everything out the picture, and just leave me and him in that melting pot, right? So when you go, okay, December, there's 15 records on this project. February, there's 14 songs. April, there's another 12 records, right? All original content. And then you meet with the label and they go, hey, we want to do a 60-40 split, right? You take the 60, we keep the 40. Everything you make, you know, with our help, we own. Pretty much, that's just the verbiage, right? I don't even want to get into the semantics of it, but that's pretty much what they're telling you, right? Like, pretty much what you create, we're going to own it as if we helped create it. Mm-hmm. But I just said to you, we just sat in this room and we just made all of this without your help. 3 albums. And we're sitting in front of each other because of those 3 albums. So again, tell me why I have to confide. I have to even listen to what you're telling me, right? So,
right. I got a question for you before you get too far, because you know me listening to the Joe Budden podcast, me and you talking and everything. Now it's different contract for you as an artist and you as a producer, and then as an engineer. Right? Now you produce and you the rapper on there, and so that's when we get in a conversation about points. right? Like who gets what on the back end because of their job and what they did in producing the actual beat and making the record, and then you as a vocalist on there too, right? And so with some people, they may just think that they don't realize how many people they got to pay, right? Like they don't really realize how many people they got to pay. And so, like you said, you specifically said, me and this guy here created everything. Right. But on that, when it gets to, a new artist, especially in this day and age where they're making everything in SoundCloud, and they may go to a label and the label has this engineer that costs $60,000 and then this producer that costs $100K and blah, blah, blah. Like, how does that change and make it different for you in negotiating that new one?
It's tricky, man, because I think every company has its terms and policies, right?
Right.
So, and that's also based on the level of experience that person's offering.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you might come to me and you might, and not you as in you, but generally speaking, right? And you might not bring the same level of skill set that this next person does.
Yeah.
But let's just say, like, hey, man, this other guy who's super duper qualified, and I know that by adding him, the numbers go up. Well, of course, his contract's going to be different.
Right.
Of course, he's more of a bigger asset.
Mm-hmm.
It's apples to oranges. So, I just, I don't know, man. What I like to do, especially with Nvizion, is I'm just trying to get into a swing of things, man, where it's like less nonsense, less hassle, and more freedom and more creativity. Because I'm an artist.
Well,
I'm a creator, man.
Let's jump into that because I definitely want to. Because after this, Coach and I are gonna ask you some questions to kind of facilitate some things and kind of settle some debates we have. But we talk about Nvizion, right? We just talked about your back hit. We talked about your back history and the music pedigree. And there's even more that we can get into about things as well. But then we talked about, you as an artist, you in the marketing scheme, and then you having your point to where, you had a child, 2 children, shout out to Lou. And now you are back in the music industry, right? After being in education and after working with youth, and being an outreach program, now you're back in the industry, but you're doing things on your own terms and kind of bringing a nostalgic vibe, but on a new age technology platform. So kind of break down the Nvizion and then the Nvizion radio. Give me an elevator pitch on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to start by saying I have elevated from the music industry. I am in the creators industry, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have, in my 35 years on this planet, I have touched so many different things and avenues of just different lines of work, man. Healthcare, music, cannabis, auto industry, advertising, just so many different things. So I'm telling you, man, by 50, I'm almost a complete savant of just creating.
Listen to New York, these New York dudes, man. They're like throwing around some. Hey, but look,
I can see how y'all get along though.
No, you funny. Listen, let me tell you this though. I will say he was trying to make a Netflix series. He was trying to make a Netflix series in like 2016. He used to come back to me with a whole view like he was Spike Lee.
It's still happening.
Yeah.
It's still happening. It's the way, kid. Come on, man. And Netflix might not be the thing.
Yeah.
It might be on the Nvizion platform. I don't know. It might be my own streaming. I don't. Right. Exactly.
We're gonna put you with Dame. We got to connect with Dame right now too.
Shout out. Shout out.
Stop.
Inspiration.
Stop.
He's an inspiration.
Stop.
No, you know why?
Stop.
You know why? Because he don't stop. He
Stop.
He keeps going.
Stop.
We got a connection with Dame too, man.
Stop.
All right, my bad.
You He don't stop, you know.
No, but
you know,
envision. We don't want to take it away because I want people to make sure, and I want to get a good clip so I can put it around.
Right. So envision. Honestly, the mantra is in the name, right? You know, I think for a lot of us, whether it's sports, music, just overall ideas that, you know, everyone has an idea. And, you know, I have this conversation all the time. Oh, I want to do this thing, but I don't know. And then we get stuck, right? It's just that, like, taking those visions and then materializing them into reality. Right. And I think I really get a thrill out of that, man, making things that, you know, these ideas into long-term realities, man. Mm-hmm. And it's where the management piece came into play. And then, you know, with the marketing background and then, you know, with some other folks that are on the team, just with their marketing backgrounds, you know, of course, naturally we dove into artists, you know, and music, and you started managing artists. But then it came into like other stuff, like then managing businesses. And then now it's managing a radio station, right? Because I don't care what it, you know, what people try to like label it out to be. No, it's still a form of managing. You're managing an idea, you're molding it, you're shaping it out to be something that is, you know, a fluid revenue stream, man. You know what I'm saying? To where it can trickle down. So Nvizion is now becoming somewhat of a network stream of different entities. You know what I'm saying? We have UBud that falls under the Nvizion branch, which is a marijuana delivery service. So that's what it is, man. No pitch needed because it's all happening in real time.
So basically,
you know, it really is, right?
Nvizion Worldwide is a one-stop shop for you to get your idea on the ground and in front of people and to make sure that it keeps moving forward. So, yeah. Okay.
Man,
so
it's definitely management.
Clap that up. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. I like how you spoke that, Slim. I like that, man. Yeah, I think that's the pitch right there. Yeah, because, you know, when I started, man, it's always like you're trying to like find how to propose your business. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what you want to make sense. Like, you know what you want to do, but it's like, all right, damn, how do I label this though? Right? Like, It's not like a dish, you know, because you know what you cook, you know how to call what to call that. But I know how I want to help people, but I want to help people in different ways too, man. I don't want to just help people in this rudimentary way or how you tell me I got to help people.
Right.
How about that?
And then it's stuck in one place.
It is. We're just managing and nurturing ideas and helping bringing them to real life. That's it.
So now it's announcement time. Now it's announcement time. Right?
Let's talk, baby.
Because we don't, you know, OG, Coach King, and we'll start to talk about more of these things, but Coach King is a real big guy on paying it forward and always sticking to your word. You know, there's a lot of guys that say they care about the community, they care about their people, you know, and helping their people and seeing them forward, but they never extend the olive branch. You're right. They never take that chance, especially when somebody is doing it the right way. They never take that chance to go over there and collaborate. And so you guys have heard the music prowess, the business acumen that Lee has had. That's a personal journey that he's grown into. And then you guys have seen what Coach and I have built, you know, with Hoop Mountain, with BTG Podcast, which is now evolving into BTG Media. And what we're going to do now is we're going to collaborate. And so with Nvizion Worldwide, a new platform came about, Nvizion Radio, to where it's a 24-hour streaming radio online through an app. Right, you can get it through the Nvizion app, and we'll have the link in the YouTube comments, and we'll be promoting it. But on this app, every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. U.S. Standard Time, you can hear full episodes of Bridgin the Gap podcast for as long as the app is up. So even when we're out and the season is over in June, you will be able to hear us all summer, along with live mixes You know, OG, I sent you Lee's album a little while ago, but I'll send you all of his mixes. He gets into his pocket. He does sampling, other morning shows. So taking radio into his own hands, and we're going to be a part of that. We're going to have our own slot on there. It's going to be every Wednesday. And right after that, we're going to have some fire hip-hop stuff playing after there. But Nvizion Radio and BTG Media and Podcast, the collaboration is here, man. That's
know what it is.
Yes, sir. And so you be on the lookout for some stuff to come out probably after Ramadan. But that's going to be something I'm going to love right there. I know what it's like to start something the way Lee is starting his thing, to where, man, you're just happy to get 3 or 4 listeners, right? And then as it grows gradually and you get that organic audience, you start to feel the change that you're making within just the work that you're doing. And so it's going to be dope to bring it together. Now it's also a place to where your old heads can go and they can listen to that good music, that good soul music, along with the podcast. So
we desperately need good music.
Listen, I'm gonna send you the app so you can download it, because you pop up there and you got a Farrakhan breakdown, and then an hour later you got that old 70s, 80s R&B samples to go with the songs that were sampled with them. And so what'd you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I got some stuff coming to bro.
Yeah. So we got some questions for you though, because we want to talk. We want to talk music and we want to get into it. So one thing that I want to know is I see Joe Budden and them talk about this all the time. So I always wanted to ask somebody who would say, is it harder? Was it easier to get on now than it was before?
Wow. 2 things.
We only got 1 minute for this one, man. Like, I see your brain turning crazy.
Listen, just okay. All right. So on one end of it, right? It's a consistency thing, right? So it's easy as long as you are consistent and you learn a strategy, right? If you can strategize and be consistent, it can be easy. If you put the work in, right? It was harder back then if you didn't have resources and network. Today, you don't have the network if you have strategy and consistency. Right. Answers the question?
Perfect. Yeah, there it is. Now, OG, this is yours.
Well, first, I want to just get back to, you were talking about how you guys are riding around and, going to shows and things like that. And it was the late 90s and you had a Mitsubishi Galant, right?
2002 OG. I'm not that old. Come on.
Okay.
That's about the same year, though.
I'm just saying it's close. But, you was talking about the struggle. You was kind of balling a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's your first whip?
It was a hole in the muffler.
I'm just saying you about 10
hole in the muffler.
You about $15,000 from a Diamante, so you was up.
Man, he said 15,000.
But no, in your opinion, in terms of hip hop, do you feel that New York will have a chance to come back and be in the forefront?
I think New York is back now.
That's an argument. You see, in what way?
And see, when you say New York is back, so now I need say, give me 3 or 4 specific reasons why, or it can be 3 different people. Just tell me why you think you're back now.
Because the kids are running it, and the kids always ran it. Biggie was 24 years old, 23. He's a kid, right? Favi, these guys are young, right? So, like, to me, the old guys don't gotta have nothing to give validity to anything. If the kids got it, that means that's what it is.
So what we're saying, because I see this a lot with New York, because technically New York is always going to
These guys. Come on, I'm a 90s guy.
Well, for sure, but New York is always going to be a cornerstone of hip hop because of the market,
always,
right?
Always.
But what I don't think is true is that the best artists come out of New York anymore. or the best music comes out of New York anymore. And I think that's the question that we're asking, because you know, the platform, the media, the market is always huge over there. And like, to an extent, the trends are going to come out of New York to an extent, right? But I'm saying, he asking, is it right now, or is New York at the forefront of music?
Yeah.
Like the artist, not the system in New York, but the artist.
I'm talking about just the actual hip hop right now.
Yeah.
Because you talk about you're a 90s baby, right? That's the music that I love, the late 80s and 90s in terms of hip hop. And what I'm thinking right now, what I've been talking to Coach Ryan about, so I hate 85% of today's hip hop.
Yeah.
I hate 85% of it. So for me, I'm hoping that somebody from New York, and when we say New York, what's your guy's name? They're from Buffalo?
Benny and them.
Yeah, of course. Come on,
Yeah.
I love them. But I'm just talking about, like, we need more guys from New York in today's era of hip hop to be a little more relevant. That's what I'm saying, because I don't like
what he's saying is right though. They do have some young bucks that is relevant, but I think the worry is them, because they got Fabio and them is on fire, right? And you're not ever gonna listen to Fabio. Right.
I'm just saying stars. Like, there's people that I don't listen to now. I'm from Georgia, but there's people now that are stars from Atlanta that I can't stand.
But you recognize them.
Everybody knows them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's my point. Like, I'm not talking about somebody that you guys would know because you're in that age where you're going to seek out certain type of music. I'm talking about me where, I'm only going to listen to Mobb Deep and Smith & Wesson and those guys. But I'm talking about, like, that the general public, everybody would know.
Yeah. I don't think, I want to hear this, Lee, because Lee, even back in Liberty Point, I always said that the West Coast was putting out better music, right? The West Coast artists were putting out better music. So in Atlanta.
Let me, to answer your question, during those times, we had A&Rs, right?
Yeah.
And there were only really three places, I would say probably four, right? You had New York, you had LA, you had Nashville, Tennessee, and then you had you probably throw Detroit, or you throw maybe one of those. There weren't many popular others outside of those three places, because I say Nashville in regards to like country music, right?
Yep.
But right. So when you think about just regions of music where people went to find new talent, right? And record labels weren't sending people out to Chicago, right? They weren't sending out to Virginia or, Atlanta became a thing because, when you have L.A. Reid, Jermaine Dupri, these guys, and they start having their own sound, and the Dungeon Family and Outkast, and it becomes this whole thing. Well, now it's like, we got to start building buildings here and actually put people here in place for when the next thing comes, we're on it, right? So again, recruitment was high in places that were hot. In today's era, where do we find talent?
It finds you, right? It just comes on the internet. Social media, right? So either it finds you or we discover it on social media. It's not no longer region set, If anything, it's the style of music that's mimicked. So when you hear someone say, "Oh, y'all trying to sound like y'all from Atlanta," or "Y'all trying to make music like the drill kids in Chicago," or the Brooklyn drill in Brooklyn, or the West Coast sound in LA, but this kid might be from Nelson County. Like my artist Rux, Malik might not sound like he's from Charlottesville. Right.
He might got a West Coast twang to him, but that's okay. No one's going to criticize him for that, right? There's Monday Night don't sound like he's from Richmond.
Telling from New York, it's a New York influence.
He sound like he's from New York, exactly.
But that's the question.
But that's getting around the question I asked.
Where's New York?
No, there's no answer to is New York ever, because there's no region, right? There's no New York sound. If New York sound has a UK underlay with a Chicago fusion, then what is New York sound?
True.
Right. But
today.
But what I'm
it's
saying
no
is
longer the sound, because if you,
But what I'm saying is like, all right, now I'm 48. I'm about to be 49 this month. Now, I grew up, I'm not, I don't have the background you have with your family being music guys, but we're talking about as a fan listening to hip hop. Even though I lived in a lot of different states and, there was a lot of, 2 Live Crew and stuff like that I listened to, MC Shy D, stuff like that. But the New York guys were my guys. Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying is that right now, if you talk to the young kids, and I'm talking about like ages, 8 to 15, whatever, they think the epicenter of hip hop is Atlanta.
Yeah.
And that's my point. What I'm saying is like, are there any more guys that are coming up that will be as popular as, say, the 5 New York guy, the 5 Atlanta guys right now? That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna jump in here too, Lee, because I think what you're saying, what made the New York guys in your time dope was because they had the essence of New York too. And so they look like New York. They look like New York. Yeah, they walk like New York. They talk like it, and then their music sounded like New York.
I got on a New York fitted with a Carhartt shirt. Yeah. I'm from Queens.
Right.
That they don't walk around like that no more.
Yeah, so that's what he's saying. So there's some New York artists out right now that are big, but you wouldn't know because they don't sound like the New York. Because right now the sound is different, so they don't even look. They don't even look like New York anymore.
But that's not what I'm actually saying, because even like for me, like when I was in school in Philly, and I remember one of my boys from Brooklyn came into my room, was like, "Yo, you got to hear these dudes right here." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yo, Outkast, you got to hear. I love these dudes." You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about they were just lyricists, right? And my thing is like, right now, certain influence is coming just from one main area. Like, even though J. Cole's not from New York, he's a great MC to me. That's what I'm saying. And all I'm saying is like, I'm not saying even if you're not from New York, I'm just saying, is there anybody that's coming up the ranks that will be as popular as some of the guys that are out now this is my personal opinion, they're not as good to me. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's what goes into it. Because for a New York artist to be as big, he got to embody New York, right? Because that influences his sound, that influences the way he gets marketed and everything. And what we're saying is, because Atlanta is the epicenter, is dictating the sound of everybody and a lot of the looks of everything. Even that New York music is getting saturated until now to where they're more influenced by the drill. So we're saying it's like, because the New York artist is not just the song or the music, it's the entire mantra and everything behind it. So it probably won't be.
Well, I'm just saying, everybody now, like, everybody's trying to mimic somebody else. That's what I'm saying. Right. Who's coming out that has some individuality that we can say, okay, whether he can be from Kansas City, San Antonio, whatever.
Lil Nas X.
Shut up. Next question. Lil Nas X, shut up.
A great example, because J. Cole, right? And I find this funny. J. Cole's from Fayetteville, North Carolina, but he sat here in Queens. And, many, many moons ago, we would have called that jacking, but he came right there in Queens and emulated a whole style.
Mm-hmm. Because he wanted that New York energy. That's what he grew up on. That's what he saw, that mantra. Yeah, that's what he thought he had to be it.
Drake took Houston, Drake took the Bay, Drake took Memphis, Drake took New York, but we don't talk about that. And that's what I'm saying. The power of influence has then removed this thing of cultural identity, of proximity, because where you was from had to actually be, it had to be in your verbs, it had to be in how you spoke, it had to be in your song title.
But social media changes that.
But I'm not even going to say that. The reason I say that is because I mentioned 2 Live Crew. Marquise was not from Miami. You know what I'm saying? But he came down, even though they were making what you call, Miami-based music at the time. He was rapping just like he would if he was in New York. You know what I'm saying? And people just respected it. I
But over what beats, though?
MC huh?
Over what type of beats? Those are Miami beats, though. So there's still an influence of the Miami culture.
But I'm saying, but also if you go back and go through their catalog, they had a lot of stuff that wasn't Miami based either. That's what I'm saying. It's just like guys were, how can I say it? Like they were so confident in who they were. Like drop me anywhere, I'm still gonna. Of course, if I'm in Houston, I'm gonna rap. I'm gonna do a little, stuff like that, but I'm still gonna rap the way I want to rap.
Right. But that's
see, dance music, right? Because if Nas went to spit on a loop beat, you wouldn't care if you was dancing. Yeah. But if Marquise had to rap on "Life's a Bitch," you would listen more because it's introspective, and you would want to hear his tones, his verb, and you would go, "Huh." He don't sound like he from here talking about that type of thing. But if you say, get a boom, you ain't going to care because you dancing.
Yeah. So I think it hit different. But I got a question here then.
Right. It hits different. Absolutely.
So with all that talk, because New York could never be the same, because really nothing will. Because culturally, social media changed everything. Like that era of hip-hop, and I'll say after Wayne's run, after selling $1 million in a week, after $1 million, after that, everything don't look the same. So it's like 2010, and from the 90s, that golden age from 2010 and down in 2009 and everything, that's when hip hop was still at its purest, and you can still feel the essence before mixtapes died, right? And so what I'll ask is, because we have this argument all the time, where was hip hop born? And who are the best MCs from New York? What borough got you to give you the best MCs?
Where was hip hop born?
Yeah.
Respectfully, I mean, the South Bronx. That's historically a fact. You know what I'm saying? The best MCs, number one, rest in peace to Notorious B.I.G. He's just the greatest rapper of all time, period. And there's no debating. But
there's a debate.
There's a debate.
Yeah, crazy.
He's one of my top. But there's a debate though.
Yeah, he's the greatest. Number one. And then Nas. And look, I put Jay up there as number 3.
Before we get to the individual, I want to know what the boroughs are. Like, is it Bronx? Is it Queens? Yeah.
Queens, absolutely. I mean, Queens is the greatest borough, period.
Well,
like, the greatest
hip-hop? You sure?
Dude, are you serious?
He's not Brooklyn?
Listen, hold on. I'm going to start with Tribe. And then I'm going to start with the greatest hip-hop entertainer ever, which is LL Cool J. Let's not ever play with that. Ever. LL Cool J, greatest hip-hop entertainer. Male hip-hop artist entertainer.
We can debate that.
I think MC Hammer got him beat. But
stop it. Longevity.
I'm not gonna I'm gonna let him finish first. All right, so you say Tribe from Queens, LL from Queens.
LL, Russell, Run, DMC, 50, Ja, Supreme Team, Joe Budden, shout out to him, he is from Queens.
He's from Jersey, man.
From Queens, actually.
Yeah.
He'll tell you. He don't say it much. He'll tell you that.
Yeah.
We don't claim Trump. He's from Queens, though.
He hip hop. All right, that's not bad. But let's go ahead to your top. Nas is not bad. He's not bad.
Rest in peace, Prodigy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So what's your top 5? What's your top 5 all time, man? Top 5, not your favorite, but who are the best rappers of all time?
Because I got top 5 lyricals, I got top 5 overalls,
right.
I got top 5 bundles, I got Grammys.
Top 5 MCs. Your top 5
we need
MCs.
To hear this. I'm gonna write these down.
Right, and then your top 5 overall. Your top 5 MCs, MC, and we broke down MC on the pod before, so our listeners know. If not, they go back to the Ways episode. But top 5 MCs, and then your top 5 overall.
Number 1 is Big.
Which list is that?
Nas.
Which list is this?
MCs.
Okay, Big, Nas.
Jay, Rakim, and number 5. MCs.
You ain't gonna throw LL Cool J in there?
You better not.
Because
You better not.
LL's a rapper.
No,
He's a rapper.
I just want to throw a little curveball out there.
See, because when I think MCs, I like storytellers. I like to see what I'm hearing. So I gotta put 3 Stacks in there just because as an MC, I like vision. I like. That's why. Yeah. So that's it. You know, because Ray and Ghost and Jada and all those guys kind of fall. They're honorary mentions, but 3 Stacks. Yeah, it's something about the image. Yeah.
So your top 5 overall.
Overall, Big, and this is just overall artists.
Yeah, overall artist.
Big, Kanye.
He's stuck. Yeah.
No, I'm not stuck. I'm just trying to think because the 3 and the 4 is always rough.
You can interchange. You can interchange them. You know, we do.
Can I? Okay.
You just put those 2 there. After the top 2, they all interchange.
All right. I got Jay, and then I got Snoop. I got Snoop up there because I listen as an artist. Snoop, he's goated. Yeah. And then I put 50. Then I got 50 in my top 5.
Dang, like if you just say artist, if you're just gonna say artist, then
I say artist.
You ain't throw Drake in there.
Look, he hating. He light skinned too.
I'm from Queens, so let me say this again. It's Big, Yay. Okay, it's Jay-Z, right?
Snoop and 50. That's a nasty list. You see why we used to argue on a night shift?
See, this is why you can't ask somebody from New York embedded in the culture this question. So all your accolades and all your experience and everything in terms of being...
Listen, my pop was...
You just threw all your professionalism out the window.
Yeah, super biased.
And all this shit was your personal shit. You threw all your professionalism and you're biased.
7 years old. I had a 50 Cent bandana at 11.
Listen, I told you, look, wow. We respect it though. That's love, man. I will say this. I will say this. I do respect somebody who acknowledges the fact that they are super biased.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So before we wrap up, I want to definitely say thank you, bro.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, for taking on this time and wrapping up with us. I hope the family is well. I hope, Sue is doing well, the kids are doing well, hope business flourishes as well. And we're looking forward to this Nvizion and Bridging the Gap partnership because our platforms align and it's going to be dope for us to have just a hip hop continuation because a lot of things are getting lost. And Bridging the Gap is making sure that our history doesn't get lost in translation and that there's always got to be the right people educating it. So, while we were in that, concrete building trying to figure things out, 8, 6, 7 years later, it's making sense. And it's a dope thing to see you stepping out there and betting on yourself again. And using your talents naturally God-given to provide a service and do some great work. So appreciate you, big dog. Definitely love having you on. I got to make sure I get you linked with Waze so y'all can talk hip-hop and make some things happen. He'll be...
And I enjoyed listening to that. I checked it out last week. Yeah, it was awesome. So
yeah, he in Australia too, man. We gotta get that Nvizion radio there, and he has a hip hop podcast. And so we'll make it all link up for sure. OG, you had anything you want to drop?
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining the show and dropping some knowledge on us. There was a lot of useful information that you gave the world that ordinary people wouldn't have access to. So that's we're very appreciative of that, and just to know during this entire podcast, you only said you were from Queens 14 times. So you're far ahead of the game. My other boys, they be 25, 26, 27 times. So this is great, man.
But he been living in VA for like 20, so it died down. Every year it goes down.
Every
10.
year he loses one.
Yeah. So look, the one thing I gotta shout you out, Lee, because if you guys listen to the podcast at the very first season, we had our original intro, and I called a favor to my dog Lee, and he got us that first original beat that was our own. Yeah, that's from Lee, and so I gotta make sure on air.
Love.
Yes.
Love.
So shout outs, and so now we returning a favor. So everybody that's out there, last episode OG had his fellas on, and they talked about making sure you attack a dream, even if everybody that loves you isn't all the way in, or people that do support you can't see it yet, just keep going, right? You never know who's going to be there to help you along the way to progress. And that what you guys did for that intro, that helped set the stage for the intro we got now, because it inspired.
That sounds good. I was loving that.
You inspired that. We stand on OG. I stand on the shoulders of my OGs before me. So this intro stands on the shoulders of that very first one you gave, and then my brother gave, and then we came here. So can't imagine what the next phase is gonna look like. It's gonna get crazy. But we'll appreciate you, big dog. I'll let you get back to the action. We'll link. We'll have some Nvizion stuff coming out and everything. So, man, it's always great to hear from you, big dog. See you soon, bro.
Much love. All right, peace.
Man.
That was great, man.
Yeah. It's a good conversation.
That was great.
A good conversation. I'm gonna holler at my boy Monday Night. He's my college roommate.
First of all, man, why is your name Monday Night?
It's his rap name. And and it's dope how he came up with it too, though.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. And then for like 3 months, he used to drop a record every Monday night.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because like back in the day, Monday Night Football, Monday Night Raw, like every Monday night was an occasion, right? And you got to stop everything to get to. He'll break that stuff down, though. That's my dog. And my college roommate, he played at Verona, Highland Springs, too.
Okay.
And then went to Union. And then he came to, play with us. Crazy. He hip-hop head, younger generation, but, you know what I'm saying? He heavy in the game. So, man, it's another episode. We think we did what we said we was going to do, and we got you guys some new knowledge, some new love. But you know how we wrap up. Who Mountain Dubai, Who Mountain DXB. Make sure you go follow if you're in the UAE. That is your number one home for basketball, everything. At every level, too. At every level. This is going into year 2 with an asterisk. 3 all together. It's going to be dope to talk about it at the wrap up and what we got coming next. But Bridgin the Gap podcast, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. We're everywhere. Go like, follow, subscribe, comment, help us grow. As you guys know, we wrap it up with a post-game wrap up. OG, what you got?
I always try to keep my wrap up similar to what we've discussed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is my personal opinion, but based on how large of an industry music is, I think this may be true for a lot of people as well. Music is an adventure. As we've just listened to Lee talk about everything he's experienced in being around the culture of music and different types of music and how it's shaped him to be the man that he is today and how he's trying to help other artists fulfill their dreams. And so, we think about in our personal lives, we all have certain songs that bring out certain emotions in us. And I know I have some, whether it's hip hop, whether it's R&B, or just soul, whatever. There's certain songs that either lift my spirits or soothe my spirits.
Mm.
And so, that's why music is an adventure. And so, for those out there listening, keep finding new music to listen to and keep advancing in terms of like, nurturing your soul and your well-being, because, music can be a helpful tool and help you get through the week.
Yeah. And then that's that interesting. I see it all the time. It's like Bob Marley said it first, though, music gets you through.
Yeah.
Right? And that's real. Know when to hit that reset button, and music can be part of that journey to where you got to reset. As I come upon the first Ramadan that I'll experience, it's a fast, but it's a recharge, it's a reset to get you back into that level of discipline, get you back thinking about what is most important. And whether you are Muslim or Christian or whatever it is, all of us need to know when to hit that reset button, because we aren't phones. We aren't objects. Somebody else is not hitting this for us. And so we got to recognize it in ourselves to when it's like, yo, I'm too much. My cup is full and it's tipping over. Like, I got to reset right now. And so I think that goes in line with that journey. Along with that journey, you got to know that it's not a linear race. It's not a linear ride. There's going to be bumps, it's bruises. There's going to be a pause. It's going to be a couple years to where you had to go this way in order for you to take the back door to get there. But know when it's time to reset and recharge, and make that happen. So that's another episode in the books. I think we have 45 in total, big dog.
Mm.
Man, it's a blessing.
Closing in on my age.
Man, birthday coming up soon. We're going to see how that goes. Get you a little adventure. But BTG Nation, as always, thank you for logging in with us, tapping in. And as always, keep it real, keep it simple, and keep going.
Player and coach, the brother to brother. They both got views that you need to discover. From sports, current events to just life talk. Whether you on a fast break or a nice walk, gotta tune in, you already know, G. This BTG Nation and you one of the homies. Just tune in, you already know, G. BTG Nation, the other ones in the nosebleeds.